Okay, so today is episode 1 of Copper's Obedience. Really, all we're working on today is motivation and markers. So I want to go over how I build motivation, how I teach markers, what markers we'll need, and how much motivation we'll need. So for starters, we're using just his dog food as a reward. My dogs don't just eat throughout the day, they eat a certain amount at certain times throughout the day, usually in the morning and in the evening. And as you can see, he's always open to eat. Another thought right here is, you can see he's jumping all over me. I actually quite like that. I want a dog that demands the food, that tries to take it, that feels pushy, which he's definitely pushy. The idea is, I have motivation in his dog food for 2 reasons. The first, because it's a limited resource. He eats it when he wants, not when he wants, but when he's allowed to. It's not just there all day, and you can see he's not an overweight dog. And second, because I make it more than just free food. If I just pay him like this all the time, he likes that, but it's not nearly as fun as playing a little bit of chase or jumping up to take food. You can see his tail's wagging a lot more. So delivery of reward is pretty important for motivation. So next we're talking about markers. Markers are something that predict something. I use a clicker to predict taking food from my hand. I use other markers to mean other things. I use no to mean that's wrong and you will not get rewarded. I use a noise that I make with my mouth. I go, look, and that means take reward away from me. So if I threw a ball, or if I set food on the ground, or if I wanted him to chase a frisbee, things like that. Marker words are really important at teaching dogs what to do, because I can tell him I like that, and I can tell him I don't like that. I also use a warning marker. I use hey. Hey means stop doing that, or else you could get a correction. So we're talking motivation. What I'm looking for is motivation towards something. So I've got food or toys or attention, and I'm looking for motivation away from something. So I have an electric collar. You could also use a leash and a normal collar like this, or a prong collar, or a choke chain, or a slip leash. Any of those tools deliver pressure and make the dog want to do something. So we have pressure towards this food and away from, well, he doesn't know what this is, but away from aversives. Today I'm going to go over how I would charge markers. So first, I'm going to start playing a little game with him where I just push him, Copper, look, and then I click and pay. The idea is to build engagement. So I show him that I am fun and good things happen with me. I also want to work a little bit on building some engagement with the lure. I want him to want to follow it and want to pay attention. This is step 1, just showing him that good things happen nearby me and the food. Come. Even with distractions, right? You can hear there's a siren in the background. No big deal for him. He wanted to know what it was and then came right back to the food. So I would spend a whole session just luring and clicking and paying. So we're luring, come on. I'm doing positions. I'm luring lots of different things. And then I click and pay. Now you can see he knows behaviors and he'd like to offer them. My goal is not to get behaviors, it's just to get him to follow the lure. Come on. So we're talking circles. I'm talking over, under, and around things. As well as positions. Up in the air. Up. I'm talking on the ground. Down. I want to see that your dog's engaging with you for the food. That's really it. Next, we're talking about charging up some aversives. So what I like to do is I don't really charge it. I want to teach him that the pressure of the low-level e-collar is just a signal that means look at me. So I'm going to go, okay, and I'm going to stim, and then I'm going to click. I want to show him these very low, very mild level, you can't even see a reaction from him, e-collar levels. I want to show him that those stop when you look at me. So I stim, 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 click. I'm showing him eye contact is what I'm looking for. This is how we build engagement. Back up, back up. Good boy. Stim, stim, click. I want him to understand that The e-collar, stim, 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 is something he should want to turn off because it gets paid, not because it's horribly aversive. We could use it that way, and I could turn it up and say, hey, when you do that thing, there's this uncomfortable pressure that stops when you listen. But 90% of the time, I'd rather have the dog happily engaging with me. So right here, same thing. I'm gonna stim, stim, stim. Hey, look. I'm gonna click and pay. Good job. Now, alternatively, I forgot to bring a leash, so I will demonstrate as if I had one. Drop it. I could tap, 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 click and pay. I could show him tap, tap, tap. Leash pressure turns off when you look at me. So that's how I'd start building motivation towards and away from things. And I would do this for 3 or 4 sessions before we move on to anything else. 3 or 4, 5, 10-minute sessions of just practicing go, stim, pay, right? And luring. So now I'm gonna add one more step. So go, stim, 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 stim. Good boy. I'm gonna spin him in around now, right? And then pay. I'm just making it a touch more complex. So the idea is he likes what I have. He likes the food, and he, right now, it probably isn't painful or uncomfortable even, but he wants to turn off the aversive stim, the e-collar. And so I've got motivation towards and away from, and that's when I'd start training.